Qian is the Chief Executive and Impact Officer of Logan Todd & Co. and an Analyst X process mining community founding member. Qian will share her experience of working with teams at the front line of services and at the center, turning data into insight and action. Welcome, Qian.
Hi. It's really funny. I'll promise you, I've only met James for like 10 minutes in a trust somewhere, and we have not compared notes. But it's so refreshing to hear someone talk about the things that I go on about all the time. I will try not to repeat too much of what James has been saying, but it's really on the same sentiment. So I'm here to talk to you about the hot topic of AI. Now, Carl, could you go to the first slide? Thank you. Now, if you tell ChatGPT that you're giving a 5-minute speech about these topics and ask it to give you 5 talking points, this is what it might come up with. It is an opinion based on information it's been trained on. We don't know what, and we don't know exactly how it came up with these. In the same way, you're here listening to what the lovely panel and I have to say, you will have to make your own judgment on how useful any of this information is. Some of you will be able to take action based on what you've heard. Your actions will vary. It could be to go learn more about AI, to start building your own AI to solve a problem, or even more exciting, you create completely new ways of using AI. In an era where the NHS is investing over 100 million into a federated data platform, and with even more funding likely over the next decade, it's safe to say data is very high on the agenda. So it's no coincidence we're here today asking how we can leverage data and analytics to improve healthcare outcomes. And for some of us, the question is, what's it actually worth? Here's the thing. As James alluded to, data and AI alone, they're not going to make a difference. It's the people who interpret it, act on it, use it to drive change. So as technologists, analysts, and leaders, the real question here is, how do we use it to inspire action? For the last 4 years, I've pioneered process mining in the NHS to understand patient journeys in ways we couldn't have imagined before. And clients often tell me, oh my God, this is exactly what we need. And yet, despite these insights, the actions I expect doesn't always follow. Many of these impressive dashboards are gathering dust, just like the thousands of pages of management consulting reports I used to write. Talking about management consulting, West Streeting just announced the return of league tables and turnaround programs. Some of you here are leaders or future leaders of healthcare organizations. Some will be facing a turnaround team or two if you're really unlucky in the next 12 months. I haven't done a turnaround since I left the Big Four. I want to show you what I've learned and how I've evolved. Carl, next slide, please. Thank you. So this is what insights look like when I left the Big Four. It started making the rounds 20 years ago, and unfortunately, a lot of you will still be looking at an SPC chart in the NHS today. Then I started creating dashboards for about a year, and since then, I've been providing process mining insights to the NHS. However, this is kind of where Logan Todd is today. So Carl's going to play a quick video of my favorite colleague that I've built called Logan to help NHS clients engage with data. Now, with LLMs that are constantly learning how humans interact and interpret information, this application we built is able to understand what A&E teams think their problems and their issues are, analyze patient flow data to validate these issues, identify gaps that look at the best practice knowledge base from the NHS to suggest the most appropriate improvement actions. It is also able to assess the local context, so it provides an estimate of the level of impact it might have on the improvements that the A&E teams decide to make. If we look at this William Gibson quote, "The future has arrived, It's not evenly distributed yet. My challenge to all of you is, what are you going to do about it? I'm going to end this session, my session, with a very personal story. When I was a young girl, my school principal in Singapore, Mrs. Kami Lim, exceptional woman, sadly no longer with us, told me she was very excited about the internet because imagine we could buy clothes, washing machine, do video calls. I thought to myself, she's nuts because who the hell would do that? Well, the good news is I do learn. I intend to take full advantage of the advancement of AI. If you want help working that out for your organization, or you have AI capabilities and you want to do something meaningful with it, do come in, give me a tap. Who knows? We might build Logan version 2 for clients. Thank you.
Thank you, Qian. Before we move on, one question for you now, if I may. And over the years, there's been a lot of investment by the centre, headquarters, organisations, governments in new assets and technology focused on data and analytics. For example, around population health management and process mining and so on. But I'm sure we would all agree the take-up has been typically very low with frontline organisations. Why do you think that's the case? Why is it so difficult, and how could we do it differently?
I'm going to start with a little story again. So imagine I want to buy an electric vehicle. I go to the showroom, right? And my requirement is I need this car to get me from A to B without having to charge, okay? And the salesperson is then telling me about the beautiful leather seats, the remote assistance, the Google and Apple plugin, blah, blah, blah. My husband is sold, okay? But all I want to know is, can it get me from A to B without stopping for a charge? So for those like myself trying to bring innovation to the NHS, we just have to be better at listening to what people's problems really are. Not every problem is a nail, so not every solution is going to be a hammer. There's also a need for all of us to apply more critical thinking to everything we're being told. We've entered the era of data everywhere you look, but the only people that will benefit are those of us who can triangulate the data points to solve problems. Here's an interesting piece of triangulation, and it's not going to be new to any of us. So the birth rates are declining in developed nations. I think in the UK it's 1.44 last year. It's projected to continue to decline. Now, the UK is also an outlier on productivity because we spend more time at work, but with no apparent increase in output. So what are the genuine levers we can pull right now, today, to improve that productivity? There really aren't many, and we're not even getting on with the very few options we have. So we just need to start thinking about doing things differently.
Excellent. Thank you, Qian.